Man's alone time with kids caught on hidden camera. Stella is frozen in her tracks. Her mouth drops wide open as she watches the secret footage she recorded of her husband and 2 kids. She can feel her heartbeat in her throat as she watches the man she married do something unimaginable. But this had to be a joke, right? Her husband was her childhood sweetheart, he was her soulmate. She could never imagine him ever doing such a thing. She knew there was no coming back from this. For Stella Jackson, her family was her everything. She married her childhood sweetheart Josh 10 years ago, and then along came their 2 beloved children. There was 5-year-old Emma and 18-month-old Ben. Yes, Stella thought nothing could go wrong in her perfect life. But when she secretly recorded her husband and kids using a nanny cam, she uncovered something truly unimaginable. Being parents didn't always come easy to Stella and Josh. They had tried 5 years to get pregnant, and it seemed like having a family just wasn't on the cards for them. But finally, their hard work seemed to pay off. In 2015 and 2019, they welcomed their daughter Emma and son Ben. Finally, their family felt complete, but they had no idea what was coming to them. Balancing a full-time job while being a mommy was hard for Stella. At times, it often felt like she was Superwoman, powering through whatever obstacle got in her path. But she and Josh agreed that for the first 5 years, she would go to work and he would be a stay-at-home dad. Josh didn't mind. But Stella would soon uncover something about her stay-at-home dad. Stella had started to notice that Josh was acting a little different. He seemed distant the majority of the time she saw him, like something was lingering in his mind. But he would never confess his true feelings. She had no idea what she would find out about her beloved husband when she set up a hidden camera and caught him in the act. Normally Josh was a devoted dad. But lately, it seemed like he had other things on his mind. Stella tried to get him to talk about it, but he wouldn't. Then, one dark night, Stella woke up to find her bed empty. Where was Josh? She rubbed her tired eyes and shouted out, but Josh didn't respond. She peered through the crack in the door, and what she saw in her hallway left her lost for words. Josh was leaving their eldest daughter Emma's room. What was he doing? Stella looked at her clock. It was 3:45 a.m. in the morning. Maybe Emma just had a nightmare. Stella brushed it off as Josh just merely doing his dad duties, but she was so wrong. With work getting even busier, Stella had started to miss out on time to spend with her 2 children. So to ensure she didn't miss out on anything, she set up a nanny cam. It was a foolproof plan. She'd get to see her beloved children while she was able to do work. But when she looked at the video from that morning she set it up, she couldn't believe her eyes. For most parents, the use of a nanny cam is the perfect way to keep an eye on things. You simply press record and are then able to watch the footage straight away using the app on your phone. When Stella would take a peek at the secretly recorded video of her husband and kids, she was left reeling. Stella had set up the nanny cam before she went to work. She didn't tell her husband. For some strange reason she felt like she didn't need to. While at work on lunch, she opened up the nanny cam app and started to watch the video of the previous morning. She had no idea what was coming. Looking for some peace of mind as she ate her lunch at work while watching the nanny cam video, Stella thought she'd find some cute moments of her and her kids to send to their family. But she never expected that this time, she had caught something else altogether. The video started with footage of her 2 kids in the living room. Stella smiles to herself as she watches her beloved children dance around to a song on the TV. Josh looked like he was doing laundry in the background, but then suddenly he appeared in the shot. What he did next changed everything. In just a few minutes her husband's true colors were brought to light. Stella watches as Josh, her husband of 15 years, picks up their daughter. He blows raspberries on her belly, which results in a giggle that would make anybody crack a smile. Then, suddenly Josh did something else. And as soon as Stella saw it, there was no going back. She had to show everyone. Stella is frozen in her tracks. This had to be a joke, right? She watches her husband from the secret hidden camera and can't believe her eyes. Why would he do this? She knew she had to show people. He thought nobody was watching him, but he wasn't going to get away with it that easily. In the video, Stella's 2 children are goofing around in the living room. The baby jumps up and down in her bouncer to the beat. Meanwhile, a lyric video for Katy Perry's #1 smash hit, E.T., which Perry released as a single in 2011, is loudly blasting out of the TV. With the music turned up to full volume, the older girl stands in front of the TV while waving a pair of brightly colored pom-poms around to the music, while her infant sibling bounces up and down in her stroller. It's clear that the children are having fun. But, unbeknown to them, Dad is about to step in. Stella's husband is seen walking in the background. He's carrying a box. Noticing the children dancing in the living room, he puts the box on the table and walks into the living room. Instead of carrying on with his chores, Stella is shocked to see him walk right into the shot and do something completely unexpected. First, he leans down to his daughter and moves his hands up and down with a jerking motion. Yes, he's doing the robot, dancing his way into the room, to the delight of both his kids. They can be heard giggling hysterically as their father approaches them. Then, he even begins to lip-sync along with the song, miming, "Boy, you're an alien, your touch so foreign." After he's done the robot, he ends with a pirouette. Despite being quite a large guy, this amazing dad is still able to pull off some surprisingly graceful dance moves. Although most of the dad's moves are typical dad dance moves, it just makes the entire video all the more endearing to those who have seen it. But the dad isn't just dancing with his eldest daughter. He sidles up to the baby, leaning in and grooving in time with the baby's bouncing. It's obvious that the baby is enjoying the performance, too. The baby grins with delight as her dad pulls funny faces while he dances along with the music. At one point, the oldest daughter hands her dad her red pom-poms. He takes one and twirls it around, but the girl insists that he must dance with both of them. He shows off his silly dance moves, which makes his kids roar with laughter. He takes the other pom-pom and goes through an impressive and sassy cheerleader routine. Then the daughter takes back one of the pom-poms, with the pair continuing to twirl them around, holding one each. The song continues, and so does Dad. Dad continues to shake and twirl the pom-pom, making hilarious faces as Katy Perry's song drops the beat and reaches a crescendo. As the song gets close to an end, the dad drops a pom-pom, the epic mic drop becoming one of the best moves we've seen in the video. Then, he stops and nonchalantly leaves the living room and goes back to his chores, not knowing that his dance routine was caught on camera. The viral video proves that, while hidden cameras are often used for spying on people or more nefarious purposes, they can also catch some wholesome moments, too. And, unsurprisingly, most of those comments displayed an outpouring of love and affection for the caring dad. Indeed, the heartwarming video seems impossible not to like. Best Dad of the Year award goes to whoever he is, commented Susanna Danielle, a YouTube user. Gabriel Klopp agreed that this man is a dad who loves his kids. One thing is certain, these kids have an awesome dad that is down to earth and loves having fun and making them laugh. When Stella originally set the hidden camera up in her living room, she had only expected to be able to keep an eye on things and perhaps capture a few cute videos of her kids. Instead, she got something even better, her husband showing what a devoted dad he was. Indeed, this is a clip she'll treasure forever. However, thanks to Stella's hidden camera, the entire dance performance isn't just between him and his kids like he had thought. Not that the video is anything to be embarrassed about. When Stella saw the footage, she was alarmed at first. Then, a smile spread across her face. She knew she had to share her husband's antics with the world. The video that made the rounds on YouTube was called, "Mom Finds Out How Dad Watches the Kids." Some viewers complained that this title was misleading because they were expecting something less heartwarming. Am I the only one who thought this was going to be bad? Jace Bailiff asked. Viddy Caddy wrote, from the title, "I thought this guy was a child abuser. Boy, was I wrong." Stella uploaded the video on Facebook and it got a lot of attention. Then, Mike Jordan uploaded the footage to YouTube with the comment, "He has the dance moves of a goat having a seizure, but the kids like it." Since the video was shared in September 2015, it has received 28,000 likes, more than 2 million views, and it has received over 5,000 comments. But this isn't the first time this has happened. Stella's husband unabashedly dancing with his kids isn't the only time something like this has been caught on camera. Lisa Roth uploaded a video titled, "Hidden Camera Captures Dad and Daughter Dancing to Justin Timberlake's Can't Stop the Feeling," on YouTube in May 2016. And again, it showed a devoted dad doing his best to entertain his daughter. But some decidedly disturbing moments have been caught on hidden cameras, too. Joe is traumatized, frozen in his tracks. This had to be a joke, right? He watches the footage he secretly recorded from last night and his heart races. It was like he was watching his favorite horror movie, but this was no Hollywood slasher, this was real life, his life. He had been waiting days for this moment, to finally uncover the truth about his missing food, and finally, he had proof. But it was something that left him feeling sick to his stomach. He knew he had to make a run for it, he had to get far away from this apartment. But time was running out. Joe Cummings had lived in Manhattan for 2 years now. An actor by day and waiter by night, it's not exactly easy to make ends meet in the city that never sleeps. But despite the overpopulation, cost of living, and less than friendly folk, there was nowhere else Joe would rather live. He had dreamed all his life about living in the Big Apple, and now he finally was. Things may not have been perfect career-wise for Joe, but the budding actor had a great apartment, a fantastic girlfriend, and awesome friends. He was living the dream. But then one day, Joe's world turned upside down. You see, Joe was well aware that New York was an expensive city to live in. From $5 coffees to $1,000 rent for a small studio apartment, Joe tried his hardest to save money however he could. So when he started having to shop more often because the food in his fridge and pantry was gone quickly, he became worried. His routine had not changed, so he had no reason to eat more than usual. But there was someone else living with him who could know the answer. Joe's girlfriend Lucy had just recently moved into Joe's apartment. The two lovebirds were on cloud nine, this was a new chapter in their lives. But this problem with the missing food had started to gnaw at Joe. Why would his girlfriend take his food? Why didn't she just ask? Joe knew he had to ask Lucy about the missing food. He hoped she wouldn't be offended, but he just needed some answers. After all, he was wasting his hard-earned wages on buying more food, and not to mention he was saving up for Lucy's engagement ring. But Joe had no idea what was coming to him. One night, as Joe and Lucy slept, Joe heard strange noises coming from the kitchen, a thump on the floor, a creaking door, steps. His heart started to pound. Who was in the house? In his sleep, Joe could not tell if it was real or if he was dreaming. But the next morning, when some of the food that was there the night before was gone, he realized he had to act fast. But when the truth came to light, Joe's entire world turned upside down. The following morning, Joe poured himself a glass of orange juice and confronted his girlfriend about the missing food. To his surprise, she denied everything. Joe didn't want to call his girlfriend a liar, but he knew that something strange was happening. Maybe she was a sleepwalker without knowing it. Heck, maybe he was. Nonetheless, the only way to know for sure was to get evidence, but what Joe would soon uncover would leave him feeling sick to his stomach. Another thought soon came to Joe. Maybe an animal entered the apartment and stole the food. But that seemed very unlikely. He always made sure to lock all doors and windows at night because his neighborhood wasn't exactly the safest in New York. Not to mention that the food in the refrigerator was gone and he knew no creature able to open the refrigerator doors. It must have been something or someone else. Joe had had enough of speculating, it was time to act. But Joe had no idea what was coming. Joe headed out of the city armed with determination and bought a security camera equipped with night vision. He set it up at the kitchen corner, near the roof, making sure the corner had an unobstructed view of the refrigerator and the pantry. He knew he wasn't going to tell his girlfriend so that if it was her, he could catch her in the act. He pressed record and carried on with his day. But the next morning, he removed the memory card and prepared himself to finally know the truth. But it turned out he was not ready at all. The movie starts pretty normally. It's late at night and Joe and his girlfriend are getting ready to go to bed. They're laughing and fighting before they turn off all lights and leave the kitchen. The following 2 hours, there's no movement at all, except for lights coming in from the street. Then something starts to stir. And nothing could have prepared Joe for what he was about to see. Joe is lost for words. This had to be a joke, right? It had to be a prank pulled by his friends. He watches the footage again. And with every glance, he feels sick. This was not what he expected to see. How could it be possible? There was no coming back from this. No way at all. Joe's heartbeat quickens as he watches a woman slowly pull herself out of the storage area above the kitchen entrance. This woman had to be his girlfriend Lucy, right? She must have found the camera and done this as a joke. But then the hairs on the back of Joe's neck stand up straight. He knew this was wrong, yet he continued to watch the footage, hypnotized. But what he saw next made him run far away from his apartment. The woman, who Joe thought was his girlfriend, leaves her hiding place, crawls on a table, and stabilizes. Then she reaches out and grabs a nearby step, which she uses to jump to the ground. As Joe watched this woman, he had a feeling she had done this before. His mind was full of questions as he tried to understand why his girlfriend would go through all this trouble. Then the woman looks up into the camera and Joe can see her face as clear as day. It's not his girlfriend. The woman in the video is none other than a complete stranger. Joe feels sick to his stomach, but he knew he had to watch more. Joe watches the woman go around his kitchen, as comfortable as if it were her own. She opens the fridge door, snatches a bottle of orange juice, and drinks it straight out of the box. Then she climbs on the sink and urinates. Joe watches the nightmare unfold, but more horror was to be uncovered. At one point in the video, the woman is seen nestled on Joe's couch nibbling when she hears a noise from the bedroom. Surprised, she enters Joe's kitchen and hides. Then Joe appears and goes to the fridge for a glass of water. A few minutes after her departure, the woman returns and resumes her snacking. What was going on? It takes hours, but Joe cannot keep his eyes off the footage. Who was this woman? Joe watches as the morning light begins to creep into his apartment, then the woman unnervingly crawls back into the storage area. Shortly after, he sees himself entering the kitchen, dressed in his everyday clothes. He opens the fridge and drinks the juice straight out of the box, just as the woman did a few hours ago. Joe finishes watching the footage until the end and he's left frozen in his tracks, trying to comprehend what he just witnessed. All the while an unknown intruder could potentially be hiding a mere few feet away from him. Joe felt a mixture of terror and relief. After all, the footage proved he was not crazy. Someone had stolen his food. But it was not his girlfriend, as he had thought from the beginning. It was something much worse. There was a strange woman in their apartment, hidden in a storage room in the kitchen, just a few short steps from the bedroom. He had to get out of there, quickly. Joe grabbed his computer and rushed out of his apartment. He ran to the police station, where he explained what had happened and showed them the footage. "I do not know how she got there," he proclaimed. "The only way to get in is through the window because I'm on the top floor and there's an escape route." The cops, thankfully, understood Joe's concerns and then escorted him home, where they were able to arrest the woman. But what they discovered only made him even more petrified. After questioning the woman, the police discovered that she had been hiding in Joe's apartment for at least 2 weeks. Once the ordeal ended, he posted the terrifying video on YouTube, where he quickly became viral. And while many doubt the validity of Joe's story, it's not a bad idea to regularly check your storage space. You never know what might be hiding there, as Tracy from South Carolina was about to find out. It was like a horror movie coming to life. Part of her even wondered if she had a very lucid nightmare. There was no other way for her to explain what was happening. But it was not a fiction. He was there, at home, since who knows how long without it having any clue. And when all the implications of this fact began to emerge for her, she could not help but panic. Even before this incident, life had not been easy for Tracy. She was a single mother of 5 and lived in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Throughout her life, she struggled to make ends meet and provide for her family. Some of her children were now grown up, but they all lived together in the family home to reduce costs. Despite their circumstances, they lived a happy family life. But then, something began to happen that threatened all that. One day in September, Tracy started hearing strange noises coming from the attic. The first thing she thought was that there might be an intruder, but she was always very careful to lock all doors and windows. She did it as a precaution because they lived in a poor part of the city and burglaries were quite common. She saw no sign of forced entry and thought it was all her imagination. But she soon began to wonder if anything else was happening. Over the next few days, Tracy still heard random sounds coming from above. She asked her children if they were playing in the attic, but they all said no.